Hi. One of the biggest issues that confronts ETHS is the achievement gap. In fact, it confronts our whole nation and has for quite some time, certainly as long as I have been associated with ETHS. The achievement gap is that our minority students tend to perform at a lower level than our white students. And the question that the school addresses, what can we do about it? Well, one of those is to identify what is called structural impediments to achievement. That is to say, are there things that the school does that interferes more with the learning of minority students than with white students? So one thing that the school has tried recently, to some effect, and I will post a link to the report on how it has behaved, is the earned honors credit. What this is in response to the recognizing that we were placing students into either honors or regular track based on their performance on MAP tests, standardized tests coming out of middle school, and either putting them in honors or regular track classes as freshmen. And this somewhat preordained their academic trajectory. And so the school decided, can we remove this impediment? And they created the earned honors credit. And again, I don't want to speak too much about what that is doing right now, but basically allowing everybody to experience the same level of challenge in their classes and giving them the opportunity to perform at a higher level there based in response to that challenge. An effort that I applaud, quite frankly. But are there other structural impediments to the performance of our students? And the answer is almost certainly yes. And let me share with you two thoughts that occurred to me based on my experiences in the classroom. One I'll call the white pioneer model of education. In white American culture, certainly the pioneers pretty much had to be good at everything because there was nobody else there to help them do things. And so they knew how to do all their farming. They know how to fix everything. Whatever they needed, they had to do for themselves because there really was nobody else there. And our educational system now pretty much is designed to ask students, you have to be good at English, you have to be good at history and at mathematics and some level of science, and oh, by the way, you should take other things as well. And certainly as you, so I'm going to call that the white pioneer model of education. Is that a structural impediment? Some of my minority students, my students of color, were very good in certain things. I had one student, for example, who was magnificent in Japanese calligraphy. And he was just artistic, had a great flow for it, a great feel for it. And he was quite willing to help other people do things related to that. He wasn't so good in chemistry. And I wondered, well, why do we need him to be good in chemistry? Maybe Japanese calligraphy is sufficient for our purposes. So is there a way around that? And that's hard to say. Another one is something called stereotype threat. And stereotype threat is no, I'm going to have to start this whole thing over again, aren't I? Stereotype threat, or edit it. Stereotype threat is a response to the perception that the group that I belong to can't perform as well as other groups at a given topic. So to paint it from perhaps my perspective, I used to play basketball, and a stereotype threat for me might be if I was playing against an all team of African Americans where the perception is that there should be better basketball players than myself. Regardless of whether perception is valid or not, that perception exists. And does that affect my performance then on the basketball court? In the classroom, the same thing can exist. Can African American students perceiving that they, as a group, should perform worse in some academic areas, basically fulfill that prophecy by performing worse in it? So is this a problem at ETHS? Do we experience that? As a scientist and as a board member, I can't propose that we do something right now in response to these perceptions that I have. But I can propose that we ask these questions. Is indeed a model where we expect students to be good at everything something that gets in the way of the education of all students? Is there a stereotype threat that our minority students experience in the classroom? What does that look like? How can we tell? And if it is there, how do we deal with it? I'll also give you a link to Claude Steele's work on this. He is currently at Stanford as a professor, but he has researched stereotype threat and done some nice work. And certainly if we wanted to pursue this course of action, I would certainly recommend that we have discussions with him. So this is kind of reflects my whole thought process, is that I've experienced things in the classroom that enable me to ask good questions, not necessarily to have great answers. But can we then ask these questions and see if we can come up with some good answers?